Now, if your car has just celebrated its third birthday and turned into a three-nager, it is time to get it an MOT, just like any other car really. But in this video, we're going to explain exactly what's involved and how you can make sure it passes without cheating.
If you like hearing these sort of tips and getting expert advice, please do subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. You will also find a whole trove of useful advice like this on the electrifying.com website. The annual MoT test is a chore for every car owner, don't deny it. But the good news is that the test is less complicated for an electric car compared to a petrol or diesel, and you are more likely to pass it, according to the official data.
I've come down to Nissan's newest site in West London, Ancaster Heathrow, and I brought with me our trusty Nissan Leaf. Now, this actually belongs to our very own Tom Barnard, who needs to get it serviced and MOT'd, but couldn't be bothered to do it himself. So he's tasked me with the challenge. I'm going to get the certificate to make sure that this car is safe and road legal to drive.
There's not a huge difference in the test of an electric car and any other vehicle. When you arrive, the tester will enter the registration number of your car into a computer, and it will generate a checklist of what needs to be tested according to the age and fuel type of the car. This means they don't have to check in a book or do any research online. The information is all generated for them. Many parts of an electric car's test will be the same as with any other vehicle. This means the tyres, brake operation and wear, lights and seat belts and so on will be tested. They'll also check the windscreen for chips and cracks and look for bodywork damage, which could be dangerous. The mechanic will then raise your car onto a ramp to inspect the vehicle from underneath, looking for structural damage. On older cars, this will include rust, but this is unlikely to affect a modern electric car unless they've been poorly repaired after an accident. They'll also check the suspension and steering, jacking up the car so the wheels are off the ground to check for slack in the components or worn bushes and gaiters.
Now, the average MOT takes about 45 minutes, but remember, it is quicker with an electric car, so it shaves about 5 minutes off the time, which means you have the opportunity to enjoy a nice cuppa, or actually here at Ancaster, they offer you the opportunity to get a lift wherever you want to go, or even a courtesy car if you need to be on your way quicker.
Every garage which is licensed to carry out MOTs should be happy to test an electric car, especially as the test is actually simpler than checking a petrol or diesel. But the garage may warn you that they'll not be able to carry out any repairs to the electrical drive system if there is a problem, as this requires special training. That's obviously not going to be an issue here because our technician knows electric cars inside and out. But the most likely failure points are items such as bulbs, wipers, tyres and brakes. And these are just as easy to repair on an electric car as any other. The government currently caps the price for a car's MOT tests at £54.85 in the UK, and it makes no difference to what type of fuel it uses. Most garages, especially independents, will offer a discount on this price though. Some will add further discounts if you have the car serviced at the same time as the test.
Now, MOT testers have tested thousands of different types of cars, but it's worth making sure they're familiar with your electric car. So I'm going to remind them of how the gear selector works and the foot-operated parking brake. Also, make sure on your display you can see the mileage that your car has done, because that information will need to be entered into the form, which is part of the certificate.
If your car fails, the mechanic will talk you through the options. A simple fix, such as a bulb or wiper blade, might be done within minutes with your approval. More complicated fettling, such as new brake pads, might need some parts to be ordered in, but this can sometimes happen in the same day. It looks as though our technician isn't happy with the front pads. They have done 52,000 miles though, so we can't really complain. So it's marked on the sheet as fail. We're going to need to get those done.
Now, if you're not at a main dealer, but there is a big problem that needs repairing with your car, you might be asked to go to an electric car specialist. Also, it's worth noting to book your MOT in before it expires. But the good news is we're here at a main dealer, Ancaster Heathrow, so they should be able to solve all our problems.
So my brakes are fixed and our Leaf has been given a clean bill of health. We're good to go for another year of motoring. but it's still advisable to keep an eye on things like the tyres, wipers and bulbs, as they can change at any time. Tyres are one of the biggest failure points for MOTs, and electric cars can wear the rubber more heavily as they carry more weight than a conventional car. Having a good look at the tread and check for bulges, cracks and nicks in the sidewall, which could be dangerous. If the tread gaps are below 1.6mm across the centre 3/4 of the surface, it's going to fail. Even if it's marginal, it will be worth changing the tyres, as more tread improves safety dramatically in wet conditions. If you have any concerns about the tyres, it would be better to get it sorted before the test, so you have time to shop around and make sure they're in stock, especially if the tyres are an odd size or a specialist fit, which they can be on some electric cars. Regenerative braking allows electric cars to use the motor to slow the car down and preserve energy that would otherwise be lost. It also means brake discs and pads wear less, but this in turn can cause its own issues, as they can corrode and even seize due to the lack of use. Have a look at the discs and see if they look worn or rusty, then drive down the road and brake hard when it's safe to do so. Sounds of grinding could suggest an issue, and you should get them looked at by a professional. You rely on 2 thin strips of rubber to keep your vision nice and clear in the filthiest weather. And yet we often neglect our wipers and might not even notice that they're getting old and worn until they split. Usually when you need them the most. A dodgy blade will be an MOT failure. But even if they're not split, it's worth investing the 20 quid or so in getting them changed if they are a few years old. You will be surprised at the difference. Now, there are plenty of videos on YouTube showing you how to change them yourself, or a garage will do it for a few quid. Checking the lights has always been a key part of the MOT test, and it's one of the easiest things to check. You can either recruit an assistant to look at the various bulbs and functions as you operate them from the driver's seat, or you can park in front of a glass window so you can see the reflection of the car. Many new cars come with LED lights and sophisticated lamp clusters, which are more reliable than old-fashioned bulbs, but they can still fail over time. Also, broken lenses will get a black mark from the tester. Planning your test needs a bit of organisation. You can either make a note of when it's due in your calendar, or use the government's own reminder service to give you plenty of notice. Your garage may also send you a letter or email to help you out and drum up some business. Book it in plenty of time, as test stations can get busy, especially at certain times of year, such as March and September, where there are lots of new cars registered, which all need tests at the same time a few years later.